First up this hour, the National Prosecuting Authority's KwaZulu-Natal Director of Public Prosecutions, Elaine Harrison, will take the stand before the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry in Pretoria this morning. Now, she's expected to focus on the political killings task team, which the embattled Police Minister Senzo Mchunu is alleged to have disbanded. So far, 3 witnesses have testified on the alleged political interference and corruption within law enforcement agencies. They include the National Police Commissioner, Fani Masemola, KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner, Nyathi, as well as the SABC legal head, Petronella van Rooyen. For the latest updates now, we take you live to Tshwane, where Ayanda Nyathi is on standby for us this hour. So a very good morning to you, Ayanda. Just a few minutes away to today's proceedings getting underway.
Without a doubt, Mxolisi, and you know, if history is anything to go by, we're going to start at exactly 9:30. Welcome back to the Bridget Mabandla Justice College in a morning that frankly belongs somewhere in June and July. It is cold in the Pretoria CBD, very overcast, but I have no doubt the people who are still watching this commission very closely are hoping this is no sign of bad omens. We're certainly hoping for a whole lot more clarity, not only in the skies, but also insofar as the testimony is concerned. So we're just a few minutes from day 7 of the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry getting underway. And as you mentioned, we've heard from at least 3 witnesses so far. In the main complainant, Khwanazi, the police chief in General Fani Masemola, and yesterday, the police's legal head in Major General Petronella van Rooyen. She spent a considerable amount of time shedding light on what the law actually says and trying to iron out the parameters, at least insofar as her own understanding is concerned, but also went a step further to make suggestions that this inquiry, perhaps if it is going to help us to avoid getting to the point where questions are raised about any breaches, this commission should work hard to provide clarity on how the pieces of legislation that the police depend on can in fact ensure that there are firm guardrails. It comes as no surprise then that she has made mention of Parliament's role in all of this, saying in fact that it seems that arm of the state didn't do the job that they're supposed to do in ensuring that there aren't questions that we're grappling with now. Just want to take you back to that moment, Mxolisi, where the Major General explains that point in her own words. Take a listen.
Commissioner, I believe that the issue that General Mkhwanazi publicly announced on the 6th of July was previously reported during a PCOP meeting in March, if I remembered correctly. So the fact that the Portfolio Committee didn't act on that is in my mind a failure of their mandate. Even if I initiated an investigation, called the management of the police to come and explain, that would already have been an exercise of oversight on their part to ensure that the matter received attention.
It's not the first time, of course, that Parliament has been accused of falling short of exercising their role in order to make sure that there's oversight over the executive. In fact, it's been a big criticism that's emerged also from the State Capture Commission of Inquiry. And once again, Major General van Rooyen hoping that we'll be able at the very least to iron out those systemic issues on the other end of this inquiry. But let's get you a quick roundup of some of the other salient points that emerged from day 6 of the inquiry. Take a listen to this report put together by Canny Maphanga, who's still watching developments here.
The Commission of Inquiry, probing allegations of criminality, political interference, and corruption in the criminal justice system, has heard expert testimony stating that Police Minister Senzo Mchunu did not have the legal authority to disband the political killings task team.
From a regulatory standpoint and based on the legislative excursus detailed above, I am of a view that the decision to disband the PKTT as a task team lay within the exclusive authority of a national commissioner, and that the minister did not have the legislative authority to disband the PKTT, let alone the manner in which he did.
Van Rooyen listed 6 reasons to support her view, including that the legislative framework dictates that a minister cannot prescribe or direct at an operational level how policy is to be implemented. The witness explained that the appropriate path would have been for the minister to express that he no longer considered political killings to be a priority, and direct the National Commissioner to consider this and take steps to align it with his directive, not to instruct the disbandment and how it was to be done.
That constitutes not only an usurping of powers of a National Commissioner, but also undermines the constitutional objects of a SABC as set out in Section 205(3), especially in respect of ongoing criminal investigations and the potential risk that further crimes may be committed.
Van Rooyen also testified that Lieutenant General Shadrack Sibiya was not empowered to take actions to give effect to the minister's directive. This includes removing the 121 dockets from the KZN office to the head office, highlighting the risks behind such action.
It means the investigations are stagnant. Nothing is happening. On that investigation, you would expect the police to proceed as fast as possible and make a breakthrough. But the longer the dockets remain unattended, the more difficult it becomes to investigate that cases properly. Evidence get lost, witnesses forget with time, and therefore the investigation, any investigation, will be detrimentally affected if it is stored somewhere and no attention it doesn't receive attention in the furtherance of the investigation.
The hearings continue with a new witness. Canny, Maphanga, SABC News, Pretoria.
All right, so there you have it. You've just heard from Canny Maphanga, who's given us a nice roundup of what we heard, at least in the last 24 hours. She's back again live with us from inside the main auditorium here at the Bridget Mabandla Justice College. Canny, that was yesterday. Today we're likely to hear from the KZN DPP in Elaine Harrison. What do we know about her and what she's likely to say?
Indeed. Good morning to you, Ayanda, and to the viewers once again. Apologies. Essentially, what you've seen is that we're now in phase one of this probe, which looks at the allegations of criminality, political interference, and corruption in the criminal justice system. So essentially, what you have seen from the witness yesterday is that she provided expert testimony that not only rounds up the legislative framework that has been painted before the Commission, but rather assists the Commission in coming up with the facts, the conclusive facts regarding the legalities of the disbandment of the PKTT. That is whether the minister had the authority to issue such a directive, whether Lieutenant General Shadrack Sibiya, as a Deputy National Commissioner for Crime Detection under the National Commissioner, had the authority to give effect to that particular directive without the knowledge or the agreement of the SABC National Commissioner. And then, of course, in all of this, what was the role of the SABC National Commissioner and what was expected of him legally with respect to that instruction. Now that we have that overall evidence, she does reach a conclusion that beyond these actors, that the Commission needs to come up with reforms that will ensure or safeguard this policing structure from any type of undue influence in the future. So she's looking beyond this particular instance, looking for reforms that will halt this from ever coming up again within policing and the criminal justice system as a whole. But if we move to today's witness, that relates to the work of the National Prosecuting Authority in KwaZulu-Natal with respect to this political killings task team. This is not so much an individual that has to do with any of the evidence in which persons are implicated, but rather directly with the work of the PKTT. This is the KZN DPP advocate Elaine Harrison, of course, in that fight against curbing this issue or prevailing problem of political killings in the KwaZulu-Natal province, that not only rests on the team to do the investigations and the arrests, but rather rests largely on the NPA to be able to secure a conviction. So we saw this team working together to ensure that they combat this particular problem in the KwaZulu-Natal province. So what Harrison is expected to come and lay out before the Commission today is the work of the NPA from her vantage point with respect to the PKTT. That is some of the cases that they're working on, the cases that may still be outstanding, the challenges that they may be facing, and the problem of political violence in the KwaZulu-Natal province. We expect her to go into detail in the letter that she wrote to Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi, which has already been placed before the Commission, to kind of paint a picture of how how important this particular team is within KZN. She raised the alarm, stating that she sought clarity on the PKTT with respect to whether it would be continuing its work in the KwaZulu-Natal province, as she highlights that the 2026 local government elections are looming, and a lot of these cases center around disputes within political parties and from party to party. So she was raising the alarm, stating that the impact that would follow, the consequences that would follow if the PKTT had been disbanded, or if that was true, would be quite severe for that KZN province. So we expect her to go into quite detail regarding kind of the cases that they do, the pending matters that they still have to resolve, the success of this team, and what more, or rather what the consequences could be if this PKTT team is not allowed to thrive in the KZN province. So essentially this is evidence that is expected to also close the gaps that have been created, or rather join the dots created by Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi in his evidence in chief. So we expect for that testimony to begin at 9:30 a.m. this morning when we begin here at the Madlanga Commission. Over to you, Ayanda.
Yeah, and that's in about 15 minutes' time. Canny Maphanga, live to us from inside the main auditorium here at the British Mabandla Justice College. For now, thanks very much indeed. We're still live to you from the British Mabandla Justice College here in Pretoria, where we're just minutes away from the start of day 7 of this particular inquiry. Once again, probing allegations of political interference, criminality, and the likes within the SAPS, and the new witness has already taken the stand in KZN, Director of Public Prosecutions, Elaine Harrison, who hasn't been directly implicated herself, but her role, I think, would be important in trying to help us, at the very least, triangulate some of the claims that have come up from the main complainant in KZN Top Cop and Mkhwanazi, who has made allegations that there were attempts to disband the political killings task team in order to shield not only politicians who have links to the criminal networks that are at play in Gauteng, but also to apparently shield these alleged criminals themselves. The KZN DPP's role becomes important because, of course, part of her role is to ensure that there are successful prosecutions in KwaZulu-Natal, and ultimately justice is served. It is from that vantage point that she, I imagine, will speak about whatever challenges she's faced or pushback, as has been explained over the past couple of weeks, insofar as the work of the PKTT is concerned, and whether or not, in fact, she too has had to deal with these orders, we're told, that had come from high above. You know, Senzo Mkunu's name coming up often as giving that directive in that letter that, of course, we now know is dated the 31st of December last year. And with that, at 28 minutes after 9 o'clock, the commissioners have now stepped in. We are getting even closer to the official start of day 7 of this inquiry, where I imagine people will be holding on to every word, as we've seen over the past week. The proceedings have kicked off. Let's listen in.
Thank you. Good morning, Advocate Harrison.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Are you going to swear or affirm?
I will take the oath.
Okay. Do you swear that the evidence you are going to give is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth? If so, raise your right hand and say, "So help me God."
So help me God.
Thank you.
Thank you.